Have you ever wondered why sometimes you can smell your dinner before you've seen it? Or how you can sometimes smell that something's burning even though you can't see the fire or feel the heat? This process is known as diffusion. It's when particles move from an area where there are lots of them, like in the material that's burning in this fire, to where there are few of them, the surrounding environment. It's a bit warmer in here. Let's take a look at diffusion in liquids. If I add this potassium permanganate to this beaker of water, the particles of potassium permanganate should dissolve. Then they should spread out evenly in the water. Let's take a look. Diffusion is a sort of natural tendency for particles to spread out from each other. It can be identified as the passive overall movement of particles from an area of high concentration to an area of lower concentration. This is an extremely important process for cells, as it allows substances to move in and out without the need for the cells to use energy. Organisms that are just one cell, like this amoeba, can rely on diffusion to supply the whole organism directly with oxygen for respiration. We, on the other hand, are large, complex animals that have developed an exchange system involving the lungs and the blood to exchange gases with our atmosphere and to transport them to and from the cells. In our lungs, oxygen is able to diffuse into our blood in the capillaries because there is a higher concentration of oxygen in our alveoli compared to our capillary. On the other hand, there is more carbon dioxide in our blood in the capillaries than in the alveoli, so it diffuses out. This process is called gas exchange, and it relies on diffusion. The same can be said of plants too. As plants use up carbon dioxide in photosynthesis, more diffuses into the leaf through the stomata. As they produce oxygen, if it isn't used in respiration, it then diffuses out of the leaf to where the concentration is lower. Whether we're talking about a plant, an animal, or any other type of organism, diffusion is affected by several factors. Let's take a look at those. The rate of diffusion is affected by several things. First of all, the surface area. The larger the surface area, the greater the overall amount of diffusion. The thickness of diffusion pathway. The thicker the pathway, the slower the rate of diffusion. Concentration gradient. This means the difference in concentration between the two areas. A steep concentration gradient would have a large difference in concentration. This would increase the rate. And it can also be affected by the temperature, because increasing the temperature results in particles moving around more, although this factor doesn't really apply to diffusion in living things. Let's look at how these features apply to exchange systems like our lungs. The alveoli of the lungs are thin, and so are the capillaries. They're only one cell thick. This means gases don't have far to diffuse. There is a very short diffusion pathway. The alveoli also have a large surface area, meaning more particles can diffuse at once. They have moving external and internal environments, for example, the ventilation of the lungs and the circulation of our blood. This helps maintain the concentration gradient.